Welcome to Season 4, Episode 25 of the Be Conscious podcast. Today, I'm going to be doing a solo cast to really talk about motivation, maybe to take a dive into the Great Resignation that we are seeing around the world these days. It's a little bit of a departure from the interviews I've been doing for Season 4 about people who inspire me, inspire us to do more, to think or perceive differently. But I think this episode, in its own way, looks at motivation from a unique perspective. I gave a TED-style talk in New York City a few weeks back on this topic, and I thought it would be worthwhile to share it with my podcast audience. Here we go.
Welcome to the Be Conscious podcast, the show that brings you enlightened perspectives on the frequency of money, life's many challenges, and those heavy feelings that may be holding you back from living your best life. And now your host, Dr. Susan Nicholas.
I just mentioned that I had given a talk in New York City in early November on the topic of motivation. You know, what really motivates us? What's motivating us to be in the relationships that we are in? What's motivating the job choices that we're choosing? What is really behind the Great Resignation that we are now experiencing? What's truly motivating us to do more, to be more, to do differently? I had been really looking at what has been behind the choices I've made in my life, what has been motivating me. And it prompted me to do a journey of introspection, really to look at myself and my journey and hopefully inspire others to do the same. So if you've listened to my podcast or visited my website or looked into my work, you'll know that I'm a life transformation guide and that I spent many, many years of my life in a profoundly sad state of being. So I was once a profoundly sad person who wished no longer to exist. My story goes like this. I came into this world the daughter of a teenage mother with a 9th grade education and the granddaughter of a prostitute who later became an entrepreneur when she ran her own brothel. I came into a family where there were a lot of secrets. Secrets about money, secrets about profession work, about women, about the relationships between men and women. And there was an unspeakableness, truly, that was born out of that poverty and shame. So there were many things that were not talked about. And those unspeakable things, I believe, drove me to make many of the choices in my life, for better or worse. So have you ever thought about what motivates you to do more or to be more? I suspect it was survival that motivated my grandmother to make her choices in life. And my family, broadly speaking. She needed a way to support herself and her family. There's nothing wrong with this idea of survival motivating us to do something. This is not to make anything right or wrong, but it's really to examine it. We've heard many people say that fear is a powerful motivator, and I would agree with that. Just like scarcity, poverty, shame, lack, those are motivators too. But if we take a deeper look and ask ourselves, what is motivation? By definition, motivation is the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way. And broadly speaking, I think there are two primary categories of motivation. There are internal, and then there are external motivators. So what motivates us? What are those internal and external drivers? Well, to start off, those external drivers are the ones that occur outside of ourselves. It can be anything, like the pursuit of things, of money, relationships, titles, possessions, or degrees. Now, these motivators can grow out of our familial or societal norms, out of cultural conditionings, and worldly constructs. And what I mean by that is it can be, for example, going into the family business, because it's the thing that it's how it always is. It's our legacy. Our societies, our cultures will have certain professions or things to do that are deemed honorable or worthy or specific to genders. Worldly constructs like gender roles, like our religious constructs, our racial constructs, our time, money constructs. Some of those are drivers as well, are what motivates us. Maybe it's, the pursuit of money is a very common one because we relate money to having those things that we need in our life. It's about the survival thing. We've created a system of exchange that involves money. I give my time or my service or my intelligence, my thoughts, my ideas, and in exchange, someone will pay me for them. And then I can go off and support myself and my family. Again, nothing inherently wrong with it, but it's really about examining what is driving the bus. Now, some of us are motivated simply by escaping our circumstances. And that, I believe, is because we embody conditions of poverty, of shame. We can be in a circumstance that is deprived, and then in our own selves, we will feel unworthy or not good enough in some way to have everything that we need. There's truly an embodiment of a condition or a circumstance that's occurring outside of ourselves, where our circumstance may in fact be impoverished, but we are not. We are whole inside. We are genius, full of potentials and possibilities. But if we're in a circumstance where everything around us is poor, we may in turn embrace that identity as our own. And I experienced this in my own life. So this idea of escaping your circumstances, of fulfilling familial or societal expectations, worldly constructs to do whatever it is that creates money so you can support yourself. This is what I call the external journey of validation. We've heard of self-validation, and we do certain things to validate our own existence, to mark our place in the world, to create a legacy. And so this is this process of self-validation. These external drivers, these external motivators work in ways to validate us. So it's like having titles and degrees and positions, saying I'm the vice president or I'm the manager, I'm an educator, I'm a doctor, whatever it is, I'm a nurse. Those labels, those titles act in ways to validate our learning, our training, our abilities. Again, nothing right or wrong about it, but it's an external path, meaning it's looking at everything outside of ourselves for self-validation. So on this journey, we're literally just one more possession, one more degree, one more job, one more promotion. We're one more title away from having it all. This is like a path that goes into perpetuity, like it never ends. And really what we're trying to experience, I believe, is happiness, or freedom. You hear that's financial freedom. What does that mean? It's to be free of the worry of money, of not having enough money. That's not the issue when you're deciding what to do, what to eat, what to wear, who to be with. It's not about the money, right? That's what we want, financial freedom, that all my choices come from a place of love, like something I want to do, a desire that's within us, visions that we have, ideas that we can do anything that we truly want from our heart when money is not an issue. And that's not the thing that is stopping us. And that's very, very attractive. And I get it. But there's this thing about the external journey. It's that it's never enough to fill a soulful void. So if there's something within us that is unfulfilled, all of that external validation falls short of filling whatever it is within us, on the inside of us, that is not whole or we don't believe is whole. So I know this outer journey of validation intimately. My early motivators were escaping poverty and shame. And naturally, I believed escaping was about geography and occupation. I believe the further I got away, that I would be free of this, like I'd move away from poverty. So this path took me from my birthplace in rural Pennsylvania And then my family actually moved to West Virginia when I was 6 years old when my dad remarried. So I went to college in West Virginia. Then I went on to medical school in Iowa City. And then after 4 years of medical school, I was off to San Francisco to do a surgical residency and found myself finishing out my medical training at Stanford Hospital, doing my fellowship in cardiothoracic surgery. So I had achieved more than I could have possibly imagined when I began the journey. And still, something wasn't right. I traveled across this country, east to west, seeking fulfillment, like that wholeness inside, seeking to be validated. I thought that would be validating that I was good enough, smart enough, talented enough, whatever enough, if I did all of these things. So here I was, externally validated. I was credentialed and trained, only to feel the most profound emptiness in my entire life, a true hollowness of my soul. It was Socrates who said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And in those moments, I wholeheartedly agreed. Now, after surviving my attempt to check out, to end my life, I thought about this external journey, and I thought, I didn't have a language for it, but I thought maybe I just made the wrong choice in my vocation. I was in the wrong location. Because again, this journey was all about geography and occupation, getting as far away as I could from where I grew up and earning titles and degrees to tell myself that I was good enough. So I kept on moving. I went south to Atlanta, and I went to business school at Emory University. And then I had a baby. And I thought, oh yeah, it's a thing to do, right? Have a family. That'll bring me fulfillment and happiness. In this process, I also founded 2 healthcare companies and then became a healthcare equity investor. Now, I thought, I've done it. I had done more than I think most people do in a lifetime. I had the Mercedes-Benz in the garage. I had the remodeled kitchen, the vacations, the friends, the parties, all of it. And still, there it was, the emptiness. A profound sadness, really, like a trusted friend. It was always with me. So ask yourself, is external validation wholly fulfilling for you? Does it leave you actualized or simply keep you on the hamster wheel, always in the pursuit of more? Now let's take a look at internal motivation. Now, internal validation is one that only comes from within you. It has nothing to do with all the degrees, the titles, the money, the promotions, the jobs, the schools. This comes from our truest and deepest feelings and emotions. This can be jump-started by inspiration, something that inspires you. It could be from awareness, like awareness of what you're really up to in life, having an epiphany of sorts. It can be from love, passion, purpose. That sounds so much better, right? But let's not make this internal validation versus that external path right or wrong. Because make no mistake, that inner journey, the one toward internal validation, is not an easy path. It's not easy. It is full of twists and turns, ups and downs, experiences, learnings, and knowings. But understand that the conscious journey toward internal validation is where it is. It's the real deal, the Holy Grail. It has been fabled that there was a discussion among the gods as to where to hide the Holy Grail. The gods thought, if we hide it in the depths of the ocean, those clever humans are sure to find it. And if we hide it in the expanse of the cosmos, surely they would create a technology to reach it. But if we hide it within them, who dare take the journey? So how do we get there? How do we reach it? Whatever that it is that actualizes you. Well, many of us do not know it, but we have a choice as to what is driving the bus. Believe it or not, we have a choice as to what is motivating us. In 2012, I chose to embark upon that journey within. And this is how it started with me. So this is around the time that my son was about just 2.5 years old around this time, almost 3. I'd gone to business school. I had started a healthcare company. I was the first year into my second healthcare company. And I was feeling it again, really this inner exhaustion, this depth of unfulfillment where I didn't want to exist any longer. Like I was here again. This had happened to me when I was training and doing my surgical work. And here it was again after I had shifted where I lived, my career. I got more education, had a family. I was here again. And I knew that if I went down this path one more time, I wouldn't make it. And I had this tether, like the only thing that was keeping me interested or attached to this life was that I had a child. And I didn't have any desire to abandon him. But I had a deeper desire, if you will, to understand what was going on in my life and why I was feeling this way. Why was I so unfulfilled? So it was an ordinary night in September of 2012. I lay down crying myself to sleep as had become usual. Only this night, I begged to go home. Now, I did not know where or what home was. I just knew that it wasn't here, that I didn't want to be on earth anymore. As I drifted into my dream state, for the very first time, I felt myself, my energy, leaving my body like waves. I felt it. I felt that shift. Then I find myself soaring high above the night sky over a big city full of lights. And I say to myself, wow, I'm flying. Like, this is what people mean when they're flying in their dreams. Only I noticed that I didn't have arms or legs or wings for that matter. I recognized that I was existing as pure energy, as pure consciousness. Then I hear as clear as a bell a voice that tells me, don't look down. So what do? Immediately I look down to see that shiny city full of lights crumble to ash. In that moment, I realized that I was not on earth anymore, and I became afraid. In that moment of fear, I felt myself return to my physical body. I lie there, wide awake, promising that if I ever had the opportunity to fly again, I would not be afraid. And that marked the beginning of my conscious awakening. Awakened from my slumber, I began the journey within. This is when I realized that inner journey, that one toward internal validation of self-validation, it's all about vibration. It's about energy, about the energetic essence that is you and me. You see, on that external path, my energy, the soul of me, if you will, was vibrating at a cripplingly low state. It was born out of fear, out of pain, out of sadness, out of worry, out of scarcity and not enoughness. It was that journey. That's what was driving me. That was what my internal energy was vibrating at. It was vibrating at a very low state, an energetic state of fear of not having enough, not being enough. In 2020, there was a book published by Dr. David Hawkins, a posthumous book that was, I believe, finished by his wife, Susan Hawkins. Now, Dr. Hawkins was a physician and scientist, and he created a logarithmic scale of vibrational frequencies and states of being. And he termed it the map of consciousness, where 1,000 is the highest vibration of enlightenment, and shame is the lowest recorded human frequency. According to Dr. Hawkins, 85% of humanity is existing in a vibrational state below 200 on the map of consciousness scale. And 200 is the level of courage. Well, for most of my life, I was existing at that lowest level of them all, at the vibration of shame, resonating at a lowly frequency of 20. Back in 2012, I didn't realize that I had a choice. I thought it was all about external validation, about other people, my bosses, my professors, family, friends telling me that I was good enough, that I was smart enough, that I was intelligent enough, that I was worthy. I needed someone else to tell me that. I had to take a test to prove that to myself. What I also didn't realize back then was that that comfort, that home that I was so longing for was inside of me, that I need look no further, that I need only take the journey, the inner journey, that path back to myself. And so I think this is what's happening now with the Great Resignation. Through the pandemic, many of us have literally and figuratively gone back home, gone back into our homes, back into ourselves, had time to actually be with ourselves, maybe even to be quiet. And we're realizing that what we're doing in the outer world to earn money to survive is not fulfilling us. And so many people are quitting their jobs. Millions of people have quit their jobs and are seeking something of meaning, something that means something to them. And I believe each person that has made that choice is looking to be actualized. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where at the very bottom of that hierarchy is that basic survival, which most of us are existing in. I think that corresponds to the Hawkins scale, where 85% of humanities is existing at a place of just below courage. Like they're not even experiencing that energy of courageousness to do and be what it is they truly want to be. And with the amount of people around the globe that are experiencing this right now, it tells me that there's some truth to this vibration, this vibrational, these frequencies that we're holding, that we don't feel good. We're not living the life that we truly want, maybe the life that we came here to live. We just got on the hamster wheel of life. We got conditioned to believe that it was just about money, about surviving this existence. And so one of the things that I thought about when I first experienced my conscious awakening, one of the, I would say, questions that I had was this idea that, is it possible that we're just put on this earth to survive it? We're put into these bodies, into this existence, just to survive the embodiment. I couldn't believe that could be true. I literally couldn't believe it. That all the magnificence that is us, and all the effort, like all the stuff, is all about just surviving your physical body, like surviving this life. But that's what most of us are doing. We're spinning our wheels, surviving, getting by. I used to hear myself say that out loud, that I was just getting by. And so I think we're at an inflection point where we are looking for more. In 2012, I experienced my conscious awakening. And at that time, I made a choice to live an actualized life, one driven by love and passion, purpose, rather than by fear and not enoughness, to get out of survival mode. You see, this inner journey is an alchemist journey where the magic is in the unfolding. On this journey, on this inner journey of self-validation, I'm now a quantum energy healer, a 4-time author, a speaker, podcast host, and a life transformation guide. And each of these actions, it's born from a place of love and of service to humanity. You know, when we act from inside out, when we act from the core of our being, of our soul, of our life energy, of our life force, whatever you want to call it, acting from this place leaves you energized, not depleted. You're not just spinning your wheels. You recognize that you're the visionary and the creator of your own life. And you operate now from potentials and possibilities, not limitations. This is where you become whole and still, an observer from a place of inner quietude. You see, there is no more chasing the dangling carrot on the inner path. This is where, through your innate magnetism, that energy, that resonance, from that vibration from within you, it's where you attract what you truly want from your heart center. This is where your imagination and joy, where actually playing, having fun, allows you to openly receive with gratitude. Now, that was a hard one for me because I always thought work was hard, had to be hard work. And I was very serious, had to be very serious about it, like very dutiful, very conscientious. And I don't remember having a whole lot of fun. I don't remember having a whole lot of fun being a surgeon. I don't remember having a whole lot of fun, joy, excitement, using my imagination, being a entrepreneur or an equity investor. It was very serious work, and I just didn't feel well in it. Even if I earned money, I didn't feel great. It didn't feel good. What I didn't understand was this inner journey is where we experience the entire continuum of wealth. Because wealth is infinitely more than material riches. It is more than just dollars and cents. It encompasses your relationships, your good health, and that coveted youth you so desire. The continuum is about autonomy over the resource that is your time. It is about your collaborations, your connections, and your perfect clients. It is about your ideas. And it is about you and the impact you'll have on the world. Which path will you choose?
Thanks for listening to the Be Conscious podcast with author, TEDx international speaker, and conscious coach, Dr. Susan Nicholas. Be sure to connect with her to stay up to date with her latest news and works. Learn more about her conscious speaking platform at susannicholas.org/speaking. Stay tuned for the next thought-provoking episode. And whether you are coming or going, looking inside or out, remember to be conscious.